Hunteds Season 1, Episode 2. Story: The Funeral. It was the kind of gray, heavy day that feels like the sky itself is mourning. I stood near the back of the cemetery, hands buried in my coat pockets, watching as they lowered Ryan's coffin into the ground. Ryan was not supposed to be dead. 24. Healthy. No accidents. No warning. One day he was here, the next gone, and nobody could tell me why. The pastor's voice blurred with the wind, but I wasn't listening anyway. I kept staring at Ryan's mom. The way she avoided looking at the coffin, her hands trembling like she knew something the rest of us didn't. After the service, people drifted away in small, quiet groups. I stayed. The air smelled of damp earth and lilies, and the only sound was the shovel striking soil. That's when I heard it. Faint, but sharp enough to cut through everything. My name. I spun around. There was no one, just rows of stones and the restless sway of the trees. I told myself it was in my head, but I didn't notice until I got home later that my phone's clock read 2:27 a.m. 2:27. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the way Ryan's coffin had disappeared into the ground, the way his mother's lips had moved like she was whispering to someone no one else could see. The house was silent, except for the faint hum of the fridge in the kitchen. I kept tossing, turning, telling myself I was imagining that name-calling at the funeral. Then 3 knocks. Not on the door. On my bedroom window. I froze. My room is on the 2nd floor. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stared toward the glass. Nothing. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. 2:27 a.m. My chest tightened. It was the exact same time I'd noticed earlier that day. The knocks came again, slow, deliberate. This time, I forced myself to get up, each step feeling like my feet were sinking into the floor. When I pulled the curtain, Ryan was standing there. His face was pale, almost gray, his eyes darker than I remembered. No reflection in them, just depth. And when his lips moved, I swear I heard his voice in my head instead of in the air. You should have been with me. First night, I stumbled backward, so hard my heels slammed against the nightstand. The lamp crashed to the floor, but I couldn't take my eyes off him. Ryan didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't move, except for his hand. He lifted it, one finger pointing straight at me, and then that finger slowly turned, pointing toward my hallway. I didn't want to look. Every nerve in my body was screaming don't, but my head turned anyway, like something made me. At the end of the hallway, under the dim glow of the night light, was another figure. This one wasn't Ryan. It was taller, thinner. The face was just wrong, stretched in ways a human skull couldn't be. Its mouth was wide open, but there were no teeth, just blackness like it was hollow. The thing started walking toward me, slow, unhurried, like it already knew I wasn't going anywhere. Ryan didn't move. He just kept pointing. When I tried to scream, nothing came out. The sound that did fill the air was a soft creaking. From inside my bedroom closet, that creak, it wasn't just what's shifting. It was the sound of something heavy moving inside, slow, like it didn't care if I heard it. I didn't take my eyes off the hallway, but my ears were locked on the closet door. The thing at the end of the hall was gone, completely, but Ryan was still there, still pointing, still not blinking. The closet door handle twitched. Once, twice. Then it started to turn, smooth, steady like whoever or whatever was inside knew exactly how the latch worked. My phone was on the bed, maybe 3 feet away. 3 feet felt like a mile. The handle clicked open. Darkness inside. But there was movement, slow, crouching movement. Then, from the black, a pale hand slid out. The fingers were too long, bending at odd angles, nails scraping against the floor as it reached. Ryan finally spoke. His voice was flat. "It's your turn." I bolted, not thinking, not breathing, just running for the front door. Except when I yanked it open, I wasn't looking outside. I was staring straight into another hallway. The same hallway. My hallway. And Ryan was at the end of it again. Loop? My breath hitched. I didn't understand what I was seeing. The front door wasn't supposed to open into my hallway. It was supposed to open into the street. I looked back. The closet was shut again. The pale hand was gone. But Ryan, he hadn't moved. Same tilt of the head. Same dead eyes. I took one shaky step forward. The air felt heavier here, like I'd stepped into water. Halfway down the hallway, Ryan's lips curled into something that was almost a smile. But it wasn't his smile. It was too wide, pulling at his skin like something was stretching it from underneath. "You left," he whispered. "But you didn't." I blinked, and suddenly I was back in my bedroom. Same position, same closet. The handle twitched again. That's when I realized it wasn't just me in the loop. Someone else was walking through my front door now. Footsteps slow, cautious, coming toward my room. And as the knob on the closet turned, I could hear Ryan's voice, not in front of me, but behind my ear. "Don't let them see you. You're next." The footsteps stopped, right outside my bedroom door. I didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe. The door creaked open, slow, like someone wanted me to hear it. Cold air spilled in, colder than anything I'd ever felt inside this house. I couldn't see their face, just a shadow stretched tall against my wall. And then a second shadow appeared beside it, smaller, closer. Ryan's voice came from the dark hallway. Not loud, not soft, but right in my ear. "They followed you here." My stomach dropped, because as I turned my head, just slightly, I saw something I can't explain. Through the gap in the doorway. I wasn't looking at my hallway anymore. I was looking at you. Yes, you. Wherever you are, listening to me right now. I could see the room you're in, the chair you're sitting on, and behind you, just over your left shoulder. They can hear you. Don't turn around. Don't even move. Because if you're hearing this right now, they already know where you are. I tried to speak, but my voice came out as a whisper. "Ryan, what do they want?" He didn't answer. Instead, the closet door, your closet door, kept opening. Slow, a black gap widening. I could hear breathing now. Not mine, not Ryan's. Something heavier, hungrier. "They don't kill you right away," Ryan finally said. "First, they stand there and listen to you breathe until you stop." The sound got louder, like whoever or whatever was in that dark space had pressed its face against the gap. And then, I swear to God, I heard your name. Not mine. Yours. "The closet door is moving. Don't blink." The voice from the closet. It didn't just say your name. It mimicked it. Exactly the way you say it when you introduce yourself. Same pitch. Same little pause. "Come closer," it whispered. Ryan grabbed my arm hard. "If you move toward it, you'll never come back." The air turned heavy, like the whole room was underwater. My ears rang. The breathing from inside grew wet, gargled, almost laughing. Then, bang, the closet door slammed so loud I thought it broke off the hinges. The light in my room flickered once, twice, and went out. In that total dark, something cold brushed my cheek, and the whisper came again. "Your turn. Nowhere to run." The whisper was right in my ear now. Not from the closet, not from across the room, but standing behind me. Ryan's grip vanished. I spun around. No one. The air smelled wrong, like damp soil and burnt hair. From the far corner, two hands slid into the dim light. Pale, brittle, like they'd been in the ground for weeks. They gripped the floor and pulled something forward. A face, if you could call it that. Sunken eyes, jaw twisted too far open. It looked at me and smiled. "You missed the funeral," it said. Then it crawled faster than a human should be able to move, and the walls seemed to stretch away, like the room was trapping me inside. The first to fall, I bolted for the door, but it wasn't there. Just more wall, like the house had swallowed the exit. My phone's flashlight shook in my hand, and the beam landed on Evan. He was frozen mid-step, eyes wide, like he could see something behind me. "Don't," he started, but his voice cracked into a scream. A shadow, thin, wiry, shot past me, and into him. It was so fast I almost thought I imagined it, until Evan's body bent backward. Way too far. There was a single snap. His head dropped to one side, mouth still open like he was trying to warn me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even scream. Then, in that same warped voice, his lips moved. "Your turn's at 2:27, and the lights went out. The clock starts." The darkness wasn't just dark. It felt thick, like if I reached out, my hand would sink into it. Somewhere in the black, I heard the tick-tick-tick of a clock. Slow, steady, counting down. I backed up until my shoulders hit the wall. But the wall was breathing. It pulsed under my palms, like there was something inside it trying to get out. A faint red glow appeared ahead of me. Numbers on an old digital clock. It flickered twice, then locked onto 2:25 a.m. 2 minutes. That's all I had. Something brushed past my ankle, cold, damp. I had my light down. Nothing. Then a whisper slid right into my ear. "You can run, but you'll still hear the knock." 3 sharp knocks boomed from somewhere deep in the house. The sound rolled through the walls, and with each knock, the clock jumped forward. 2:25, 2:26, 2:27. From the darkness ahead, 2 pale hands reached toward my throat. Hands in the dark. The fingers were ice cold, not like winter cold, but like graveyard cold. They clamped around my throat, thumbs pressing right into the hollow under my jaw. I tried to scream, but all that came out was a strangled gasp. My flashlight slipped from my hand, rolling across the floor, its beam spinning wildly, catching glimpses of something I didn't want to see. A face, or what was left of one, skin paper-thin and gray, lips torn at the edges, and eyes so black they swallowed the light. It leaned close enough for me to smell it. Damp soil, rust, and something sweet that turned my stomach. I dug my nails into its wrists, trying to pry it off, but its grip didn't budge. It was like trying to bend steel. Somewhere in the house, a door slammed. The shock loosened its grip, just enough for me to suck in air. I shoved hard, breaking free, and stumbled back, but the thing didn't chase me. It just stood there, tilting its head slowly, and whispered, "One gone, 2 to go." Behind me, my phone buzzed. A new message from my second friend. "He's here. 2 rooms, 1 nightmare." The moment I read the text, my chest tightened. I wanted to call him, warn him, but my hand was shaking too badly to even unlock the phone. Somewhere upstairs, floorboards groaned under slow, deliberate steps. It was still here with me. I hit call anyway. The ring only lasted once before he picked up. "Don't say anything," he whispered. His voice was broken, strained. "It's in the room." My heart pounded so loud I thought it would give me away. Through the phone I could hear it, a wet dragging sound, like something heavy scraping across the floor. Then the faint sound of breathing. Not human breathing. This was ragged, hungry, like air moving through a hollow chest. "It's smiling," he said, his voice trembling. "Why is it smiling at me?" At the same moment, I felt a pressure behind me, a shadow shifting against the dim light. I didn't dare turn around. Instead, I whispered, "Get out now." But before I could finish, the call exploded with a sharp crash, and my friend's scream cut through my ear. Then silence. Only silence that I kept the phone pressed to my ear, even though I knew he wasn't there anymore. There was nothing, no static, no breathing, just the dead weight of a call that should have disconnected, but didn't. Then, faintly, a top, top, top came through the line, slow, methodical, like knuckles rapping on wood. Except it wasn't coming from the phone. It was coming from my front door. I froze. The knocking matched perfectly, every beat echoing both in my ear and in the hallway. I whispered into the receiver, "Who's there?" The answer came in my friend's voice, but it was wrong, drawn out, stretched, like a recording played at half speed. I backed away toward the kitchen, keeping my eyes on the door. That's when I noticed the shadow beneath it. It was too tall, and it wasn't still. It was bending, like a neck craning sideways to peer under the crack. I grabbed the nearest thing I could, a kitchen knife, but before I could do anything, the lock on the door began to turn. By itself, the sound of the lock turning was slow. Too slow, like whoever was on the other side wanted me to hear every click of the mechanism. I didn't move. Knife in hand, lungs tight. I just stared at the doorknob as it twisted. Then, click, the latch slid free. The door eased open an inch, just enough for the air to shift in the room. It smelled wrong, a mixture of damp earth and something metallic, like blood left in the sun. Through the gap, I saw it. Not a face. Not exactly. It was my friend's skin, his whole face, but stretched too wide, smiling in a way no human muscles could. His eyes didn't blink. They didn't even move. He whispered, "You shouldn't have left me there." Then, without pushing the door further, he slid into the room. Not stepped, slid. Like gravity had stopped working for him. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the table. The phone was still in my ear, and through it, I heard his voice again. Only this time, it was coming from inside my kitchen. "The others are next." The lights flickered, and in that half-second of darkness, he was suddenly closer that he lunged before I could think. No warning, no build-up. One moment, he was standing halfway across the room. The next, his face was inches from mine. I swung the knife, but sliced through nothing. My hand felt like it had cut through ice-cold air, and my arm went numb to the shoulder. He laughed. It wasn't my friend's laugh. It was deep, like something hollow and ancient had borrowed his voice. Then, a hand grabbed my throat. It wasn't solid. It felt like 1,000 small insects crawling and gripping at once. But the pressure was real. Too real. My lungs screamed for air. I kicked at him, knocked over a chair, but his grip didn't break. His face hovered close, that too wide smile never changing. "You can't kill what's already dead," he whispered, and his other hand, if you could call it a hand, plunged straight into my chest. No blood, no wound, but I felt something pull. The room went blurry. I couldn't hear my own heartbeat anymore. All I could hear was his voice, right inside my skull. "Your turn, then your friends." With one last burst of whatever strength I had left, I smashed my head forward into his face. The moment our skulls collided, he vanished. I collapsed on the floor, gasping for air, knowing this wasn't over. It was only the first strike that I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every creak in the house, every shift in the air. I thought it was him, and maybe it was. At 3:12 a.m., the sound came. Not footsteps, not knocking, just a slow drag, like something heavy being pulled across the floorboards. The sound wasn't in the living room. It was in my head. I grabbed my phone, but the screen wouldn't turn on. Dead battery. It had been at 86% earlier. I walked toward the sound, my feet bare on the cold floor, and I realized something that made my stomach twist. The dragging noise wasn't coming from one direction. It was coming from everywhere. Walls, ceiling, the floor under my feet. When I reached the kitchen, my phone suddenly buzzed in my pocket. Screen lit up. One notification. It wasn't a call. It wasn't a text. It was a photo. A new one. No name. No number. I opened it, and my blood ran cold. It was my front door, taken from the inside, and standing in the doorway was me. But my face was pale, lifeless, eyes black. Then the dragging stopped. From the hallway behind me, his voice came. Told you. Everywhere. I turned, and the lights went out. When the lights went out, I thought maybe it was the power. But then I noticed the hum of the refrigerator was still there. The clock on the stove still glowed. Only my lights were gone. The darkness wasn't natural. It was thick, heavy, like it was pressing against my skin. I couldn't see my own hands. And then a sound. Faint. Vet. Drip, drip, drip. It wasn't coming from the sink. It was coming from the hallway. I reached for my phone light, but the screen went black again. This time it didn't even buzz. I stepped forward, and my foot hit something soft. It rolled slightly under my weight. I froze. Reaching down, my fingers touched warm, damp fabric, and then hair. I pulled back so fast I almost fell, but my hand had already felt enough. It was a head. The darkness shifted, and just for a split second, it was light, not from electricity. He was standing only a few feet away, illuminated by a pale, sick glow from his skin, like the light of the moon had been trapped inside him. And next to his feet was my friend Ryan, neck bent at an impossible angle, eyes wide, mouth frozen in a scream. I didn't hear any footsteps, but suddenly he was in front of me, leaning close, whispering so softly I felt it more than heard it. One down, the light inside him flickered, and the room went dark again. I stumbled backward, my heel catching on the rug. Ryan's head, his face, still burned into my vision, like an afterimage from a camera flash. But the darkness around me wasn't normal. It shifted. It breathed. I ran for the door. The front one. The one that always stuck unless you pulled hard. I yanked it open, and my heart stopped. It wasn't my street outside. It wasn't anything. Just a vast, swirling black space that somehow felt alive. A low hum vibrated in my bones. I slammed it shut, ran for the back door. Same thing, but this time I thought I saw shapes moving. In that darkness, long, thin limbs stretching, like they were testing the edge of my doorway. My chest tightened, air refusing to fill my lungs. And then, a voice from the hallway. Calm, smooth, almost casual. It's no use. I told him he could run too. It didn't save him either. I turned. He was leaning against the wall, hands in his pockets, watching me like this was all a game. You know what I like about funerals? He said, taking one slow step toward me. It's the only time everyone already knows they're next. I bolted for the stairs, but halfway up, the steps seemed to stretch longer, like each one pulled me farther from the top instead of closer. From below, I heard him laugh. Not loud, not manic, just certain. You'll tire before I do. I forced myself up the impossible stairs, legs burning, lungs screaming, until finally I reached the hallway. But it wasn't my hallway. It was his. The same dim, yellow light from the funeral parlor's back corridor. The same faint smell of lilies, rotten at the edges, and down at the far end, Ryan was walking toward me, not running, just walking, like he already knew. I had nowhere else to go. Behind me, the door I'd just come through had vanished. In its place, a coffin, closed, but I could hear scratching inside. You hear him, Ryan said, tilting his head. He's been waiting for you. I ran. Straight past him, shoulder slamming into his, but somehow not slowing him down. I could hear his footsteps matching mine, perfectly in rhythm. No faster, no slow it, like he was letting me burn myself out. I burst into a room, walls lined with mirrors. Each reflection showed me running. But in one of them, I wasn't alone. He was already there, standing just behind me, smiling. Almost done. His voice was in my ear now. Warm breath I could feel. E-spoon. And every mirror shattered at once. The shards hung in the air, spinning slowly, each one showing me lying in a coffin. Different coffins, different suits, different funerals. The sound as footsteps stopped, and then softly, pick one. I stared at the floating shards, each one like a window into a future I didn't want to see. The coffins weren't empty. They each held me. Different clothes, different ages, but the same pale face. Eyes closed, skin waxy. You can't stop it, Ryan whispered, somewhere between my left and right ear. You just get to decide how it happens. I try to move back, but my shoes stuck to the floor. When I looked down, the tiles had turned soft, sinking under my weight, like fresh earth. The smell hit me then. Vet dirt. Grave dirt. Ryan stepped into view, his suit darker than before, hands clasped like a priest. The first one, heart stops in your sleep. The second, car crash at 3:12 a.m. The third, let's just say, you won't like the water. The shards started turning, faster now, and I realized they were pulling me toward them, like a whirlpool made of glass. I clawed at the air, trying to grab something, anything, but my fingers slid on invisible walls. Ryan didn't even touch me. He just stood there, watching like a man who's already won. Choose, he said again, or I'll choose for you. One shard, larger than the rest, spun right in front of my face. Inside it, I saw my own hands, cold, folded, and Ryan, standing at the head of my coffin, smiling for the mourners. And then, he winked. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was panic. Maybe it was rage. Maybe it was just that his smile pushed me over the edge. My fist went through the largest shard, glass slicing my skin as the image shattered into 1,000 glittering pieces. The sound wasn't like glass breaking. It was like screaming, hundreds of voices, all mine, crying out at once. The floor gave way beneath me, and I fell straight into the vision I destroyed. It wasn't a coffin anymore. It was a dark room, water dripping from the ceiling, my breath echoing in the cold. I was lying on a slab, my body limp, my chest still, and standing over me was me. But this version of me was wrong. Paler, eyes black like oil, mouth curled in that same grin Ryan wore. Took you long enough, the other me said. He's been waiting. Behind him, the shadows moved, and Ryan stepped forward, clapping slowly. Ah, you picked the water. Only now. I understood. Water wasn't the ocean. It was this place. The damp air, the cold stone, the underground smell. A drain in the corner gurgled. The sound grew louder, until a stream of black water poured in. Riesing fast. I tried to run, but the other me grabbed my wrist, his grip freezing, his nails digging into my skin. You drown here, he whispered, over and over, until you learn to stop fighting. The water was at my knees. Ryan just stood by the wall, hands folded, smiling like this was all part of a polite conversation. See you on the next cycle, he said. The water hit my chest, and then my throat, and then the lights went out. When I woke up, I was lying on my couch. The TV was off. The clock on the wall read 2:27 a.m. My hair was still wet. My clothes clung to me, heavy and cold. And when I coughed, water spilled out of my mouth. Not clear water, black, thick, with the smell of rust. I bolted upright, heart hammering. The living room looked normal, but the silence was wrong. It wasn't the usual quiet of my apartment. It was full, like someone else was holding their breath with me. I glanced toward the hallway mirror. At first, I thought it was my reflection. Same soaked shirt, same dripping hair, same tired eyes. Then it blinked, but I didn't. My chest locked up. Slowly, the reflection's mouth curled into that Ryan smile. We made it back, it said, but I hadn't opened my mouth. The TV clicked on by itself. Static. Behind the hiss, a whisper threaded through. So, Fana had to lean forward to hear it. Cycle begins 2 nights from now. The screen flashed. For a split second, I saw my apartment submerged in black water. Furniture floating, lights swinging in the current, and something large moving in the depths. When the image vanished, the mirror was empty, but the carpet under my feet was wet. Well, guys, that was part 1. The next part 2 is dropping Monday, so stay ready. Follow now and keep it locked to the Black Hour. Bye.